So I've known Warren Phillips for years. Incredible geologist, has been looking at this problem for a very long time. Why? Because it hit him, and he had to. He had no choice but to look at this, and so he came up with some very interesting innovations in how to chelate heavy metals out of his body, and then he's been able to help a lot of people in the world. Warren is featured in a new docuseries that we just finished filming because of what he's done to his house and the way he looks at how to be mindful of environmental toxins. I think he is a strong voice in this space. He is a devout Christian and a family man, and really stands for the things that he fights for, and he's fighting for you. I think that his non-toxic dad brand is beautiful because he's really taking a stand for all the things that get into our houses that are challenging. I think you're going to really enjoy this. Warren Phillips. Mr. Warren Phillips, welcome to the summit.
It's great to be here, man.
Great to see you. A little prelude to more content coming. We did a six-part series called Homesick Home. And the very first episode, I visited Warren's house because it is an incredible house to feature in these types of stories. Warren, the non-toxic dad. I've known you for years. I've watched your journey. I know your story, but our audience doesn't. So let's get into the days and how you ended up making this your work.
Yeah, just like anything else, it's the challenges of life that bring about change, right? And so being the guy that I am, I guess how I was raised, I'm pretty persistent, and I really love the outdoors and the environment, and reduce, recycle, reuse from my undergraduate work, went on for graduate work to clean up the environment. And my master's work was detoxing the environment from heavy metals. And so just loved that. Analytical chemist, did all that fun stuff. Now let's go work for the consulting firms that go out into the world and clean up toxic dirt, toxic soils, mines, federal use defense sites. We work with the Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Forest Service, did all these things. But as it turns out, in my fervor to clean up the environment got me along the way. And I became very sick. So weird symptoms. Doctors didn't know what to do with me. I even went to chiropractors and physiatrists and physiotherapists and therapists, and everyone just said it's stressed out. You just need to relax more. But the symptoms got worse, from muscle twitching, abnormal shyness, weight gain, sleeplessness. Even one time after doing a battery site cleaned up because I lead batteries, it was actually a hospital property. And I remember digging in a public area, and I didn't wear my mask. That night I hallucinated. I had such high lead exposure levels. But fast forwarding to all that, I don't want to sit in the doom and the gloom, but it did get worse. I had to sell everything that I owned in Missoula, Montana, my dream place to live as my little backwoods country Warren, reading Louis L'Amour books and Pennsylvania, fur fish and game. Like I was a hick, like as hicky as you can get. Don't judge me, but that's how I was raised. I know people, I'm a much softer man now. I would never harm an animal unless I was, for food, or something like that, because I just have fell in love with the environment and humans and just the world and the planet. It's just a beautiful place. But I was raised that way. And that's why I was in Montana. And I had to leave the place that I loved so much, the fly fishing and the hunting and, all those fun things. And I moved into my parents' basement thinking that if I got away from the stress of job and life and church drama and all the things I was going through at the time, I would get better. And I moved into their moldy basement. Pennsylvania, very temperate climate, very wet, lived at the bottom of a hill. So you have a lot of water pressure, water moves. I'm a hydrogeologist too, along the way, and a low temperature aqueous geochemist. So I understand the movement of water, and it moved right into that basement. Didn't know the dangers of mold. And I don't think many of us do. And you definitely need to get your house tested for mold. It's one of the biggest things that can rob your health and vitality for sure, and your sleep and everything that leads to a vitalistic life, even your thoughts and the energy, like all of it. So this is what really sent me reeling, Pedram and everyone listening. It flew into full-blown chronic fatigue, full-blown fibromyalgia, obesity, 210 pounds from 175, not able to enjoy life or experience joy at any moment. And if you're sick like this, you get it. I don't know if I don't think, Pedram, you've ever been to that place, that dark place, but you look at a child laughing and giggling, and it does not drive any dopamine or serotonin into you. Like, you just can't enjoy it, and it's super frustrating. And you're faking life. And you're also more irritable, and you're mean. And if you're spiritual, you're mistreating people, and you know it, and you're judging yourself. And it's just this spiral that leads you to a place where, do I want to continue to live like this? Do I want to leave this world? And those were the thoughts rolling through my head. Because of my faith and strong, background, I decided that this was going to work out to something good. And I met another doctor who said, Warren, you're super toxic. And I didn't believe any of it. I could get into all the stories of it all. I tested it all. I didn't believe any of this alternative stuff. And I definitely didn't believe the 10 plus medical doctors that I listened to that told me I was crazy and just needed to be on a Fexer, right? Or a pain med. And I knew better than that as a scientist, that when I asked the question, I'm like, oh my gosh, great. This is going to fix my problem. A Fexer, it must do something that permanently fixes me, right? Well, no, it just might make you feel a little better, Warren. And most people are on 2 or 3 drugs. You'd only be on 1. And that sounded like a death sentence to me, because that wasn't fixing the problem. Rolling through that, heavy metal poisoning, the biotoxins that were produced from the mold in the basement is what really destroyed my vitality in my life, to the point where I was no longer a functional human. But when I decided that I was going to give this alternative stuff a try, taking supplements and detoxification, moving out of the moldy basement, stripping down an apartment, ripping out all the carpets, sealing up the ducts and the climbing in the attics to get healthy, my life turned around. And then I got really pissed, and I wanted to educate the world and practitioners. And that's the journey that I'm on to this day.
Thank you for that. And we have different guests talking about how to get out of the mess and how to detoxify your cells, and, all the work that has to go into cleaning up this temple once it's been compromised. Mm-hmm. I want you to share, because your experience really took you in a very interesting direction. You became the non-toxic dad. You started looking at all of the toxic agents that are sneaking into our homes where we should feel the safest, right? And really uncovering all these things that we take for granted. I mean, okay, most of us have heard scented candles. Fine. Let's not buy those. Of course, Glade and all these other things are selling like hotcakes over at Target right now. And so let's talk about the big noxious agents, the places where this stuff inside our homes can sneak into our health.
Yeah. So one of the biggest ways that I had to get well is making my home safe, right? Having a safe home, because I was in a sick home. My parents was a sick home. Actually, my home in Montana was also a little bit of a sick home too. It had some mold in it as well, that I found out later after I was selling it, because I had to sell everything. And I had to make my sleep environment safe. I had to make my home safe. And so that journey, literally 20 years. It started in 2005 or 2024. So 24 years, I've been picking the part of homes in my environment to get healthy. And it's definitely a process. And when you're forced to do something and you see it gets results, it creates this positive feedback loop. You do more. And that's what I want everyone here to do. You don't have to do everything that we can talk about through this series. But if you start doing some of the things I'm about to share with you, it'll create a positive feedback loop. You'll sleep a little better. You want to do more, right? And that's our goal here, is if you're not doing anything for your environment right now, by the end of this, I hope that I inspire you to get your house tested for mold, right? To test your water, to make sure that it's clean, especially if it's well water. City water, I can almost guarantee you can go on websites and it's full of pharmaceutical drugs, microplastics, PFAS, forever chemicals, pharmaceutical traces, endocrine disruptors, you name it, with heavy metals, chlorine, fluoride, all of that. So you don't have to, it's good to know, what's coming out of your tap, or you want to test your RO system to see if it's still clean. But that's a great place to start. Just making sure the big things like mold and clean water and clean air are tested in your home, so you're getting that up the scale. But how do you reduce that load in your home? Volatile organic compounds. You're looking to buy a new mattress. You got to go organic. You got to go organic because they don't use flame retardants, which are carcinogenic and a volatile off-gassing agent, a volatile organic compound or a VOC. Formaldehyde, glues, toxic glues, plastics, plasticizers, these hormone disruptors that disrupt your sleep, your vitality, your energy. Your body cannot use these chemicals for anything. You can go from energy frequency of these plastics to the hormone disrupting aspects of these plastics to just the health and inflammatory reaction your body's going to have to something that it cannot use. It's essentially an allergen. It's a poison. There's no use for it in your body. And we're using these convenient quick fixes to get things done cheaply. But in the end, it's costing us our health and our life and our vitality. So back to that, anytime you're buying new furniture, a bed, make sure you're getting low VOC, LEED certified products that have at least a standard below, for example, don't quote me on this, but below 50 parts per million off-gassing of VOCs. There's always a little bit, right? But you say that the other option is 1,000 ppm and you can actually smell it. And that's disrupting your sleep and your home and making it unsafe. You're painting your house, you're getting your house painted again. They have non-toxic paint now, which is less than, I believe, 50 parts per million, way less than that, or just no VOC paint. So that stuff off gases for like 4 years. So if you're going to make an investment in your home, it's not that much more expensive to have paint that's not blasting you with toxins for the next 4 years pretty heavily. I mean, you could even think about this. It takes 4+ years to off gas a car. These chemicals are unregulated, right? And they're not measuring that and saying, oh, this is unsafe chemicals. You get a new baby and that baby is loaded with toxins because you want that new car because you think the car's safe. I mean, there's a time and a place to buy a new car, but I'm just giving you the example. New isn't necessarily better. Looking nice isn't necessarily better. I love to where this world's heading, back towards regenerative farming, back towards the vitalistic life, back towards, a lot of what you've been trained in, right? Connecting with the earth, connecting with life again and being connected and centered. We can do that inside of our homes when we get out of the rat race, when we get out and look at things from a long-term perspective. What's a long-term impact is this going to have on the environment? What's a long-term effect it's going to have on my health? Like, these are big decisions. I mean, I can get into some other areas, but I just wanted to tease those two things.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, right now, as we're recording this, the world is hot, trying to defend shipping lanes so the containers of the crap that gets us sick from China can keep getting to us, right? And so it's all backwards. We're spending a bunch of coal and petroleum to bring a bunch of petroleum products into our houses that off gas. There are some interesting areas in this. You had mentioned the bedroom and the mattress to feel safe. I mean, the one place I learned in interviewing you and the rest of the folks in that series was the one place you have, the final place, the Alamo, is your bedroom. That's where you need to lay down and feel safe so your body can detox and rejuvenate and all that. So it's not just the mattress, though. Let's talk about bedding. Let's talk about flame retardants in the stuff. There's just all this stuff that you take for granted. All of a sudden you look at it and you're like, wait, what is that made of? And what's on there? What's in there? So let's talk about bedding and the bedroom, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to biohack your bedroom for vitality, right? And that's what we're talking about. Like, you can't afford to do your whole house yet. And you might be in a good place. Stuff's old and you haven't really replaced it and it off gases over time. But if you have a new house and you're not sleeping, right? You're like, oh crap, I'm listening to this summit. What do I do, Warren? Well, work on your bedroom. Rip up your carpet, which is it's spun plastic, right? Made with plasticizers and toxins that you don't want, that are keeping you up at night. The padding's toxic. Rip it out and put in a zero VOC engineered floor, or you can get the wool carpet, a little more expensive, or you could just get real hardwood. And that's a major issue. I remember I couldn't sleep in a room before I knew that I thought everything was just mold. And I was sleeping in I have this nice new room and I'll sleep. It was at my friend's house. And I'm like, wake up every morning completely, no mold, but completely just wiped out, anxiety, waking up in the middle of the night. It was all because of the volatile organic compounds of that carpet. So rip out your carpet, right? Get rid of that stuff, right? Crack your window at night, letting fresh air in, especially if you don't live in a highly polluted area. Let in that fresh air that dilutes. I promise you this. You could have massive amounts of pollutants in your room. You crack that window, it dilutes it pretty quickly. Making sure your furniture isn't stained with nasty oil-based stains, right? I bought used old recycled furniture that had that have off-gassed or was using water-based stains, and you can buy non-toxic paints and just refinish stuff and reuse things. That's really important. Get rid of magazines that are full of volatile organic compounds in the ink. Clean that stuff out, right? Other things you can do, your electricity in your room, which can affect your sleep and your sanctuary. If you want to be like me, I shut off the electricity in my room at night completely because it creates an electric field that can mess with your sleep and your melatonin levels. And this is in the research. This isn't woo-woo. These fields go out about 7 feet into your home from any electrical outlet or electrical wiring. And so that's a great way to hack your bedroom. It also can put out, if the wiring's bad, it can put out magnetic fields, which can also be bad for your sleep. And actually, my daughter's over here. She's saying hi. They can also lead to the same issues with sleep and your vitality and your energy because it's affecting you at the cellular level. So those are some great hacks for your bedroom. Of course, I'll give you some more detailed information. If you're going to do bamboo sheets, organic bamboo, get the lyocell type. That's going to be your clean, non-toxic bamboo, organic bamboo. And then organic sheets, same thing. They don't have the flame retardants. They don't have the dyes and the toxins and, the pesticides and everything that are in there. So your bedding, your sheets, all of that.
You mentioned something I want to go to quickly and then come back to some of this more, the enemies inside the city gates here. But you had mentioned you were sensitive to some other stuff. It's like, oh, well, I thought it was mold and now it's this. And early days started noticing this in dozens of patients, right? The canaries. They'd walk into an elevator, some guy had cologne on, they'd be triggered, they'd be sick for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
And
really
so
bad.
You were a canary. And we understand this now. When the detox pathways are overwhelmed, then any kind of insult to the system overwhelms the system. So it might have started with mold, it might have started with gluten, it might have started with lead, but now a lot of things bother a person who is compromised. And so, and I've known you for years, and you'll get exposed to stuff because we'll go to conferences or wherever we're at, and I see you detoxing, actively supporting your detox pathways to be like, uh-oh, something climbed over, I got to get it out. And after you do so, I could see you just change back to yourself again.
Yeah, come back online. That's what I call it. I'm offline right now. I'm back online. And the nice thing is things don't throw me offline because I'm cleaning up my home environment, my sanctuary, throughout my house, and I'm careful what I do, right? I'm not doing fragrances, and that's so I can be here for my family, so I can be present to do things like this and actually remember the words I want to say and smile and laugh and have the life, that vitalistic life that was taken from me.
Yeah. Amen. Well, and you had to fight your way back. To be clear, it took years. It took a lot of trial and error. There weren't summits. There wasn't this kind of information available at the time. Traditional medicine would say you're crazy. The chiropractor would just say, come back and they'll crack your neck 3 times a week and that'll fix it. Mm-hmm. And so you probably spent a lot of time, money, and energy inefficiently trying to find a way out. Yeah.
Just the functional medicine really didn't exist then. There was just a few doctors and they were being, made fun of, right? I was being made fun of. I was wearing protective masks through airports before it was cool, before it was trendy. And I didn't care because all I cared about, this is that persistence thing, is about getting well so that I could have my dreams back, so that I could have the beautiful family that you've got to meet. I have a 12-year-old and I'm 49, and I have a 2-year-old now because it took me a long time to get well, but now I'm enjoying the fruit of all that hard work. And it was these decisions that I learned along the way, cleaning up my air, cleaning up my water, diluting the toxins out of my home, ripping out the carpets, everything I'm saying I did to get well. And I did it on a budget. I was making $35,000 a year and I still got healthy, right? So it can be done, but you have to do extreme measures and you have to do without. I had to do without a couch, right? I had to do without a kitchen table till I could afford it. I drove an old car, that I had to put oil in, which was pretty nasty because leaking oil. That's not cool. But I did what it took, bro. And everybody listening here, it's like I did what it took to get well. I didn't think about the short-term benefits. I looked at the short-term win of feeling wealthy, or feeling that I was keeping up with the Joneses. I looked at the long-term unintended consequences of making good decisions, and the intended consequence and the intention of getting well. And then you don't realize that you're well, and then you have to tell your limbic system, okay, I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm no longer a sick person. I'm healthy again. So there is that mindset shift you also have to make. If you've been a sick person and you've been bit by the dog, you got to say, you know what? Most dogs are okay, and they're going to love me. And because that one dog bit me doesn't mean every time I see a dog, I'm going to get bit again. Right. So I can get into the elevator and not be flipping out and shoving my, shirt up like I used to, and, doing all the things that my wife hated. But I did it along the way. So let's look at some other areas we can clean up, right? Like, let's move to the kitchen.
Yeah, would love it. We spent a lot of time there. And, I think a lot of the health and wellness info around the kitchen is all you got to do is eat broccoli sprouts, and it's the Hail Mary that makes everything go away. But if you're sitting there sprouting your broccoli next to a leaking gas stove, good luck with that, right? And so you have to take away the inputs and then, yes, support the cellular biology to detoxify. What do we need to find in this kitchen?
Yeah. So, the things that you use every day, and we can go to the bathroom next and talk about that. But the things that you're using every day, of course, get yourself one of those RO systems with the point of service, so you're not consuming nasty water, right? Put a pinch of sea salt, a little lemon, get that water alive again. And that's going to help flush the toxins out of your body. So you can't clean yourself or detoxify without clean water. If you're putting more toxins in than are coming out, you're messed up, right? There's just no way to get well, right? You have to remove the sources of toxicity, and you have to get the inflow low and the outflow fast. So one of the big hits is water. So you want to, in the kitchen, get that point of service RO unit or another equivalent that's going to get out 90% of the toxins. Then what do you cook with every day? Your pots and pans, correct? Right? So we have all these different options, and now they're saying they're Teflon free, and which is a name brand, but PFAS, forever chemicals, non-stick. And we have a different adenized, and it's fine, but it's chemicals, guys. None of those non-stick options are safe. You got to get back to nature. Cast iron. I love cast iron or carbon steel for anything time I'm frying. And if I'm doing soups and sauces, I use stainless steel. Carbon steel is kind of like cast iron, but I think even better. That's kind of what the chefs use. And then some ceramic options, a true ceramic option can be good, a good nonstick option as well. You still got to kind of keep the heat down, but that makes a big difference on the inflow of toxicity into our lives. Another area, what do you use every day? Salt, right? If you're using just traditional iodized salt, it's going to have anti-caking agents that can have aluminum and other toxins in them. And the most important thing there is it's not having the trace minerals, and it's not going to have the detoxification support that you would want. So that's another big switch that I make inside the kitchen. Let me think of another good one.
Wait, what do you use instead of the iodized salt? Is it?
Oh, I use a Celtic sea salt. Most salts have a little bit of lead in it, but it's a lower lead. And by the little tiny bit you're taking your body, you're not going to exceed any Prop 65 or stringent level. Because that's what, let me speak to Prop 65, because people are like, that's BS. It's not BS. I'm really excited that Prop 65 kind of did us righteous. There's no safe level of lead for a human. None, right? Your children absorb lead through their gut 5 times faster than an adult. There's no safe level of lead. It does nothing for you. It wrecks you. We made a big mistake with leaded gasoline, a really big mistake. And certain vegetables pull lead out more. I'm writing about that in my book than others, right? So we're heavily contaminated with lead. So most salts have a little bit in it, but when it comes to lead, it really, really jacks up your neurology, causes inflammation. It's just, I just watched a documentary on, eagles eating a little tiny piece of lead, and they're sitting there twitching, and they can't take care of there's a big crisis happening in Alaska because lead from just all the hunting that's going on up there. So when you can remove lead from your life, this is a big one. So don't get nasty leaded, these toxic salts that are out there. And that's going to make a big difference. I like Celtic sea salt.
Okay, thank you. So cookware, carbonized steel or cast iron for the most part. Could you use stainless steel if you're doing a soup, you said? I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the and we're in a summit, we can get into a little bit of the details, but when you cook with anything acidic in a carbon steel pan or a cast iron, you're going to remove that nonstick surface and it's going to dissolve all that. You can't use soap on them. You kind of got to season them. Grandma's is the best. It's been seasoned for 50 years. It's like it becomes nonstick after you use it for a few years, let alone 30, right? It's just timeless stuff. We'll talk about cutting boards. Remind me on that. So, and then soups and sauces, that's where you would use the stainless steel because it can handle it. But don't store soups and sauces, especially acidic things, in stainless steel. Transfer into glass, because if it sits in there long enough, you're going to get another heavy metal that you don't need called nickel, because stainless steel is made out of, most of it is 1810, 18% chromium, 10% nickel. If you let something sit for a couple days, you're going to get a little bit of nickel. You don't want that. So that's another little hack to reduce the big hitters, these big neurological heavy metal hitters. So, and then the other one is plasticizers and plastics, the phthalates, the hormone disruptors. That's going to mess with everything down chain of your hormonal system. And especially if you're dealing with menopause, your testosterone's low, these endocrine disruptors, specifically phthalates, is known to reduce testosterone in men and women. And women have less testosterone in men. And then you lose drive, not just sex drive, but you're losing drive for life. So minimizing those will make a big difference in your vitality, because your testosterone is your vitality. That is your energy, right? And so plastic containers, get rid of all that stuff and just slowly replace it with all glass. And then lastly, we're getting plastics again, and plasticizers and microplastics, which are showing up in our hearts now, showing up in all of our tissues. They just did a study where they were doing some biopsies, and they wanted to see if the microplastics were there from the surgical devices, and they found out that there's already microplastics in the heart from the exposure, not just from the surgical procedures themselves. And these cause inflammation and are being connected to all kinds of health disorders now, not just in the gut where they used to find it, like in the open areas, like all your exposed parts. I didn't want to say vagina, but I'm going to say it. They're finding it there. They're finding it in the gut and the colon, in the areas where you're wiping with plastics or actively exposed to microplastics. We'll go to the bathroom next, but wiping with toilet paper. I want to tell you a story about how it fixed somebody's essentially how often they had to go to the bathroom when they switched away from conventional white toilet paper. So the plastics, get rid of them. Move to glass. Another little hack: if they have a glass plastic top, put a piece of unbleached parchment paper in between that and your food, so you're not transferring those plastics and plasticizers. You just don't want to eat that stuff.
You don't want to eat that stuff. We, at some point, some plastic cutting boards made it into my house, and they're gone. I thought, what would Warren say? You mentioned cutting boards, so bring it back.
Yeah, I zoomed past the old microplastics and the cutting boards, and so I'll deep dive there for 2 minutes. They put off massive amounts of microplastics, so you're ingesting them, and everyone's like, oh, that's fine. It's not fine. We already talked about how dangerous these microplastics can be. They're going to be hormone disrupting. Everything that's in there, the phthalates, are usually inside of these plastics as well. But when you switch, you want to go to a solid wood, and don't treat it with mineral oil like they say. Treat it with olive oil or MCT oil or avocado oil or something like that, and get a solid wood one when you can. When they bind them together, especially if it's more of an industrial one and you're not getting it handmade, you can say, hey, use the non-toxic glue that doesn't have plastics in it. But the plastic they use in commercial making of cutting boards or bamboo cutting boards can be loaded with microplastics and toxins. So solid wood cutting boards, pass it on to your children. It'll be a memory that probably outlives you.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Okay, let's move to the bathroom. You'd mentioned plastics and bleached white toilet paper. Now I'm scared.
Yeah. Well, there's a story. There's a friend, Heather. I just did a Noah's Instagram video on what's in these toilet papers, right? They use put formaldehyde in them to make them stronger in the process, how the pulp is made. And if it's a recycled paper, that's where you're finding the microplastics. So in general, there's studies that show how the formaldehyde in general can be really irritating, especially to women. And we're wiping with this stuff thinking that, oh, our microbiome's off. I have a yeast infection. We're not thinking the bleach is changing because it's Clorox, right? It's killing, right? So there's these residual chlorinated compounds that are impacting our microbiome. I'm sure we talked about microbiome and its important role in vitality. And you're altering that microbiome by putting stuff down there that your body doesn't like. Your bugs in your body that you have a unique microbiome in your armpits, in your mouth, in your eyes, in your ears, and it's different here than it is down here, right? It's this unique area, and we're killing this stuff by using these modern conveniences, and we trust that it's okay. But the difference between now and 24 years ago, there's all these great companies. They're coming out of the woodwork, no pun intended, to supply products that are non-toxic, that's not going to happen. So the toilet paper seem silly, and that's a minor one, Warren, fear-mongering, Warren. I'm like, no, this is literally changing people's lives. I've gotten several people have written me back saying, I made the switch, it's changed my life, or I figured it out. I figured this out. Now you validated what I thought. I knew the Charmin was messing with me. And then, it messes with women's hormones and their cycles even. So this is real stuff. So what else? A big one, let's go right at it. These chemical fragrances that we're using inside the bathroom, whether it's the Febreze spray, this can be a concoction of 1,000 chemicals potentially to make it stimulate your brain to get you addicted to a smell. This is what they do in the laundry room and all these fragrances. It's one of the most toxic things, or the most toxic thing that you can do to your body, right? It can knock you out. You could have anaphylactic shock. This is a major hit to your vitality and to your home. So get rid of all fragrances. Your birds will start, tweeting in your house again. Your kids will start laughing more. You'll have more energy. You'll sleep better. This is a massive move for you. Toothbrushes and toothpaste. Why would we scrub plastics onto our harder teeth and just load ourselves up with more microplastics right into our digestive system? There's definitely phthalates inside of these things. We got to get rid of these plastic toothbrushes, move to either those water picks or bamboo or boar bristles. This is something we do on a daily basis. And then get all natural toothpaste. I like hydroxyapatite, but no fluoride. We don't need it. Your nutrition really dictates your hardness of your teeth. And that's why there's a poison control label on the back of them. If your kid gets hold of a tube of toothpaste that has fluoride in it, they're going to wind up at the hospital. That's why there's the warning on the back of every fluorinated toothpaste on the market. So you want to switch that out. What else? Tampons, ladies. Why would you put synthetic, nasty, polyester, chemical-laden into one of the most sensitive areas and health areas of your life that dictates all kinds of, not just pregnancy and all these other aspects, but your hormonal health, and you're putting chemicals in your body? And it's surprising to me when I talk to the lady that cuts my hair, and she's like, oh my gosh, I was totally I didn't even think about it. I was using tampons that were toxic, and I'm switching to the organic varieties. And look, even like Tampax, they're producing 100% organic cotton. Now, they might have some other chemicals in there you got to watch for, but at least they're also moving that way because the customers like you are demanding it because of great summits like this. So those are some great switches that you can make in the bathroom.
Thank you. It seems like the bathroom obviously gets loaded with the odors, right? What about the soaps?
Makeup, all that. It's just,
the makeup's
horrible.
a dumpster fire, right? Like they don't even have to report what they put into the cosmetics. And you look at any cosmetic, good luck pronouncing it, right? Just long chemical names, assuming, we have friends in the business that do non-toxic skin care, but non-toxic makeup is hard, right? Because
if you can't eat it, like our friend, right? You could eat his stuff, right? If you can't eat it, don't put it on your face. Chapstick. If you can't eat it, the chapstick, branded chapstick, poison control warning on it. because it's that toxic. If you can't eat it, or if your little baby gets a hold of it, oh, look, they downed the whole chapstick. Oh, look, they ate the whole thing of makeup, right? And you're not going to go to poison control center. You got yourself a good product, right? You just keep it simple. If you're not, because your skin is your largest organ, it's eating everything you put on it. And that gets into, let's move right in to your closet. Are you wrapping yourself in polyester plasticizers? There's a study, multiple studies done now at how it causes infertility, right? They actually did a study for population control. And so they put the male sling on, a polyester sling, like a bikini, essentially, and 100% effective at causing infertility in men because of the heat and because of the electrostatic potential that it creates. So there's the energy aspect that's happening there. You're putting these fabrics that aren't natural with your body, creating an electrostatic field that's throwing off your sperm motility function, even your hormones, right? Let alone the plastics that are coming in to your body. And that study was done in 1991, right around when polyester underwear got popular, right? Interesting. And then
that's scary.
And it worked on women too. They didn't do it. They did it on male and female dogs. They tested it with cotton and other natural fibers, polyester on the female and male, 100% infertility. So got to move away. We got to get back to nature and connected to nature. And Mother Nature is going to take care of us. Spun petroleum commercial BS out of convenience that's cheap, fast fashion. It's not going to end well, right? There's a reason why disease is on the rise. There's a reason why cancer, there's a reason why obesity is through the roof. You go back to when I was raised, very few people have triggered their agouti gene. And now it's like 40% obesity. It's sad.
Yeah. And the obesogens we know about, but we don't put two and two together. One of the things that really kind of broke my heart doing this series, because I was guilty of it, that's why I broke my heart, it's because I was a guilty dad, was that you get these, the grandmas or whoever it is, like, oh, we got some new pajamas for your kids for Christmas. And they're these polyester hybrid fabric pajamas the onesies you put your kids in. And learning the hard way that because it has the polyester, which is oil-based product, then they have the duty, I would say, to then put flame retardants on it because your kid could catch on fire because his pajamas are made out of oil. And so now you have petroleum on your kid, and now you have flame retardants on your kid, and they're sleeping in a onesie all night. And I mean, it rattled me. So like just that double down of pay the gas man and then pay the chemical man and get sick and pay, the healthcare industry. It was just
very, very commerce
me.
Driven, low cost, no unintended consequence of what that's going to do. That's why we do stuff like this. It's like when you think about it from that standpoint, you're like, that doesn't make sense. How you explained it, Pedram. It's just like, it's plastic and then chemicals, and somehow it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for your family. It's not safe. I'll never believe it. And the science backs us up.
Well, and you're also a guy who got burned, you didn't have a dog in this race. You got sick and you got pulled into this one. And so as a guy who got sick, and we'll come back to like the walk around the house in a second, but there's a question here around vitality. You grew up, I don't know, relatively healthy and then got sick?
Yeah, relatively healthy. I mean, I had allergies and asthma, growing up a little bit, exercise induced. But yeah, I was a healthy guy, all-American athlete. I was drinking Mountain Dew and eating apple pie, I mean, just fine. Still, healthy and fit and having a great life. Yeah.
So when you got robbed of your vitality, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Say, a man was left with one, doesn't have his health, only has one wish, right?
That's all I had.
And when you start getting that vitality back, what does it feel like? I want to talk about vitality versus lack of vitality from someone who's been on both sides and had the lack of vitality in the middle, right? What does it feel like to lose it? What does it feel like when it starts to flicker and come back on?
It's one of the most, it's like being able to see again, right? It's like the lights that were dimmed in your life. The colors were out. They were faded. The light of life was so dim, you could barely see good in anything. And then when you get a moment of health, the lights come on and you're like, I just experienced joy again. I got chills just saying that, right? I just experienced joy again for the first time. I felt that. Like, I feel you again. I felt love again. I felt human connection again. I had energy to talk to someone and invest back into someone else's life instead of in my own misery. I was able to exchange the greatest gift in life, which is human connection, and giving to another soul, and praying for someone. Where when you don't have vitality, you don't have energy to give, and you can't even receive. You can't give or receive when you have none of it. When you have no energy, you have no energy to receive energy, right? Because you need energy to even receive it. Your body, it's a good stress, but it's a stress you still have to deal with. Words, sounds, anything that vibrates. It's one of the most beautiful feelings in the world. And then to start seeing that progress, because it's a journey that's up and down, right? Just like life, it's up and down, but you'll get lows, but you won't hit the low lows, but it'll remind you of what you need to do and why you need to continue this race and this path of a non-toxic lifestyle, or the good, healthy decisions that you're making, or the meditation that you're doing. And then you'll get another high peak because you get motivated from that lower energy frequency, and you spin it into a positive, and then you keep going up. My life keeps resonating higher and higher frequencies, and I'm having more and more impact. I just started Non-Toxic Dad a year and a half ago, right? And now I have, hundreds of thousands of followers. And if I didn't have vitality, I would have never been able to do that. But it took me, 23 years to be able to bring that big energy and that big vitality to the camera, if you will. And to spend time with amazing people like you, because you have to resonate at a higher energy, the same energy. So if you want to have impact in the world, you got to take slow steps to get that energy up in your life. And toxins are energy robbers. They really are. I mean, I've written papers on this. They're energy stealers. They're energy robbers. They steal vitality. That's what they do. They're vitality robbers in our lives. And when we remove the robber, their energy levels can come back online.
Just a quick reminder, part of the upgrade package includes a powerful multi-page color guide by Warren, the non-toxic dad, helping you identify the things that might be compromising your health inside your house. That, along with so much other goodness, is inside of the upgrade package. If you haven't done so, do so now. This is the end of the party. After tomorrow, the 50% discount is over, and you will not be able to get this unless you want to spend a lot more money. It makes more sense to get it now. Enjoy the rest of the interview.
I want to talk about a multi-pronged strategy that's sane, right? Someone will hear this and say, oh, I found the answer. I'm just going to go get all the candles out of my house and my health is going to emerge. Partially true. But what about all the stuff that your body is burdened with that your detox pathways just simply need more help to move out? And so detox is a big part of your life, because you're not, listen, you could live up in your castle, up in the keep, and, have all your air purifiers and everything, but you do leave your house. You do live next to a major metro area. You're going to get exposure. So how do you look at that? How do you test for that? How do you adjust for it?
Yeah, there's a big cloud of toxins right out here right now in my window, because there's an inversion going on right now because there's high pressure in the valley. Reducing the amount of toxins is the first step, right? Because that doesn't cost you anything. It costs you time, maybe a little bit of money, but you're essentially minimizing your life. You're getting rid of a bunch of stuff you don't need, right? We overcomplicate. We need all these makeups and stuff, and I get it. You can make any decision that you want. I'm just giving you the path to a more vitalistic life, and that path has to deal with the amount of toxic overload you're experiencing. I can deal with toxins now because I've reduced them to an absolute minimum in my house. I have almost zero. I have no measurable VOCs in my home, right? That's wonderful. But I do still have to go out, and I do get overwhelmed. So you reduce the toxins, and then you have to start eliminating toxins, and you can do that a lot of different ways. If you're eating clean food, organic, of course, that all, I think everybody's on that train. But how do you truly do detox? You got to do it slowly, methodically over time. Some easy, inexpensive ways that I like to do it is just movement, getting out in the sun, sweating, If it's a wintertime and you live in a cold place, various non-toxic versions of infrared saunas are wonderful detoxifiers. I like to use a special activated carbon that can remove toxins from the gut that kind of get dumped out at night. I take that before bed. I like to do zeolites as well, because they're great binders, but make sure they 100% are not contaminated with heavy metals, because zeolites are great at binding heavy metals. That's why they bind metals in the environment and in your body. So you don't want ones that are already loaded up with heavy metals, and you want to put heavy metals into your body. So you got to be careful. Not all supplements are created equal, so you got to be very careful with those, that aspect. And then I would say, the last piece of the puzzle is just your mental attitude around it, right? There's some people saying, Warren, I knew it, toxins are so bad. And there's other people saying, you're a fearmonger. You're both wrong, right? You can't be so scared of toxins that you're creating endogenous toxins through emotion, through fear. It'll toxify you. And then you can't live in the world of the unknown either and deny your way to a healthy life. Like, living in denial is kind of better, right? But at the same time, I think I'd rather live in denial and be healthy and toxic and die a life where, I didn't know this stuff, but I took the purple pill or whatever. And I do go after toxins, but I don't let it control my life. I don't focus on the problem. I get after the solution. I don't give up. I'm like, there's lots of ways. I can't afford this. Yeah, you can. You just got to find a different way to do it, right? And you got to put that energy out there that this is what I want to do, and tell people like, look, I'm looking for some non-toxic huge furniture. Do you have anything? And guess what? The universe will supply that which you focus on. If you focus on solutions for your life, friends, family, just solutions will come out of anywhere. But if you're complaining and yelling about toxins and no one wants to be around you, so they're not going to offer you solutions. So you really got to have that balanced approach that, hey, I'm healthy. I can handle toxins. I'm in a place, especially if you're not feeling well, I'm in a place where my vitality is not where I want it to be, but I'm believing in the future that it's going to be there. I'm not going to fear toxins, but I'm also not going to ignore them. I'm going to focus on the solutions and then have a long-term play and strategy. And again, it took me 5 years before I really woke up and be like, thank you, God. I'm glad I didn't off myself. I have my life back. I'm married. I have children. And then the life has spun this way. Even in the time you've known me, you've seen a massive improvement in my health.
Absolutely. And your clarity, and actually you've trimmed down and you've made more and more children. So, I mean, you're on the right side of biology. Life is growing through you again, right? Whereas life had pressed pause when that animal was sick. And that's what happens, right? When the body doesn't feel safe, it shuts down around those alarm signals. So, okay, we are coming to the end. I want to do a speed round through this house. You had mentioned the laundry room. Any big bogeys in the laundry room to watch out for?
Yeah, bounce, baby. Bounce it out of your house. You do not need fabric softeners. All this can be done inexpensively and naturally. All you need is a non-toxic, environmentally friendly detergent with no fragrance. Vinegar, you can add as a water softener. I put it in my as my softener cycle. I actually use vinegar, and then wool dryer balls, which I've been using for 20 years. And you just eliminated cost and fragrance and toxins. They've measured the amount of toxins that come out of dryer vents, and that are using fabric softeners, fragrant. I mean, just your triple threat all along the way. And those softeners are chemicals that put a layer of toxins to make them feel soft. So get rid of that stuff that's going on your skin. So that's a big place to clean up, and your friends will thank you for it, because when you walk into someone's house, you don't even need to wear perfume. You smell like bounce. It's just nasty. It's wrong. It's pollution to yourself and to those that are around you. And the literature again backs us up on that.
Not to mention the water supply, getting all this stuff. So
yeah. And it gets into the water supply and you can't filter it all out, and then, comes right back your way.
Yeah. What about the scented detergents? I know, we had a guy in the office who famously I had to just ban him and be like, dude, you can't use whatever that laundry stuff is. You can't use it. If you smell it, it's bad, is what I've heard in this industry. It's a volatile organic compound if you could smell the guy's laundry.
Yeah, it's so simple, because when I was first into this, none of this was available 24 years ago. And now there's 40 companies. We have friends that do non-toxic laundry detergents, that this is their whole business model, right? So commerce is driven that way. And that means you're not alone. The people follow the masses, right? They follow marketing. And these big companies have the more marketing dollars. And the more you hear something, whether you believe it or not in the moment, the more it becomes true. So be careful what you listen to. The people around you, the marketing that you listen to, if you might have to cut out TV for a while and commercials, because they do such a good job of programming you to want, I mean, you're a good mom if you use Tide. You get out stains. You're the best mom around, right? They're going right into the thing that you want to feel good about being a mom. But to be a good mom, and you're all good moms, and we're just shifting you to a non-marketed version of a good mom, but you're being a good mom because your kids are sick, they're depressed, they're sick, they're getting on medications, and you're removing the very toxin. You're removing a Tide that could be impacting their neurology, their ADHD that they're having. That can happen from fragrance, right? Can create ADHD. That's why a lot of these chemicals are banned. Titanium dioxide that's in foods, banned in Europe, now banned in California, right? Food colorings, which causes ADHD, banned in California and Europe, pretty soon will get banned across the United States. So there is a movement happening. These crunchy moms that are out there that are, and bougie crunchy moms. I'm a bougie crunchy dad because I, kind of not full crunch. I'm not on the farm yet, but I'm going to be fully crunchy someday. You're going to see me in like just brown clothes, no shoes, and brown, organic hemp shorts I made myself. And that's my dream, stepping in cow dung. That's truly living for me, I guess. That's where I'll wind up. You probably won't wind up there. But there's this market and this movement that's happening because we're taking care of the environment. We know we need to take care of the environment, and we know we need to take care of ourselves. And if we can't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of our environment. If we don't have vitality, we can't take care of our families. If we don't have vitality, we can't take care of each other.
I mean, I don't know how else to end it better than that. Warren, your non-toxic dad is crushing. I love what you're doing over there. For anyone watching this, there's a series called Homesick Home. Warren was the star of episode 1. We took a tour of this house that he's sitting in with all the air filters and all this stuff. I'm not going to spoil the series. How can people find you? How can people engage in this work and really figure out what it is they need to get out as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I mean, watching my channel, Instagram, TikTok, whatever your flavor, it's all Non-Toxic Dad, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. I have a book coming out as well. We'll be getting that out there, and just watch these videos, laugh with me, make fun of me. It's fine. Like, none of that matters. But just like you're being marketed to the other way, I'm trying to market to you in a way that's going to help you choose a better life. Because I truly believe in my heart. You don't have to go to the degree that I do, but I believe in my heart. If you watch some of these videos, you'll pick up some great tips that can help transform your life. We have other free resources on nontoxicdad.com as well.
Love it. Warren, always good to see you. Let's get the kids together, go for a hike or something, and get outside.
Yeah, I love it. Let's get in nature and get vitalistic, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing here as well. God bless.
Thank you. Thanks for the contribution.
You got it.